I'm alarmed by what I've seen as both the behavior of our politicians and the rhetoric and even the commentary that's coming out from some senior military officials. So, I'm sure you recall I think it was the deputy commander, if not the commander of what we call Indo-PACOM, that last year it was saying, oh yeah, we're going to be at war with China by 2025. China is not out invading the Philippines. China is not out invading Singapore and Thailand. China is not fighting a war in Vietnam now. We did that far longer than you guys did. Yours was a brief conflict. And then on top of it, this I guess the role of Taiwan as a major producer with NVIDIA of computer chips, and the role they play within the defense industry in the United States. And then the different congressional delegations that feel that they have to go to Taiwan. And despite the initial agreement of Kissinger and Nixon to recognize a one China policy, the United States is now talking to China. And I see this as provocative on our part without cause. Is that how the Chinese view it as well, or is it viewed in even a more serious fashion?
Yeah, I think we take a more serious understanding on these things. In my personal opinions, I believe that U.S. behaviors is very provocative policies, especially the United States withdrawal from its traditional one China policies or one China strategies created by Kissinger and Nixon in 1970s. You can explain that change in the framework named preventive actions triggered by the failure of a foreign hegemony. The United States is concerned with the development of China in general ways, especially the growing up of the GDP, the general economic size, raise those challenges toward the United States. From China's point of view, the fact is we have so huge number of populations. If you're talking about the GDP per capita, if Chinese peoples want to enjoy about 50% of the US GDP per capita, our total GDP amount will be 2 times or 3 times as much as of the United States, which means that make China face a very tough challenges. We need to develop our economies. But such kind of development will not leading to an inevitable over-project our force and so-called compete with hegemonies with the United States in the world stages. We always focusing on internal development. The main purpose is to ensure that the good livings improve about the living standards of Chinese normal peoples. And in the national security issues, just like more and more people mentioned, in the 5 permanent members of UN Security Councils, China is the only country that did not finalization its reunification. We still have these Taiwan problems. It's a living questions produced by the US interventions in China's liberation process. Our domestic conflict when KMT was defeated and withdrew from mainland to Taiwan, the United States just sent its fleet and say, hey, you guys, you cannot cross this strait. And then we have these problems. So to China, we try to fix these issues in a peaceful ways. But from China's perspective, the most tough challenges and the most serious threat from United States is United States just continuing sending these signals that United States will not support the peaceful reunification. You just use these terms like peaceful resolutions and refuse to support China's peaceful reunifications in lots of names. And also, you're continually sending huge numbers of these or missed signals to those pro-independence forces inside that island. That raise tough challenges and threats to China. But I think the situation is quite confused sometimes for China to make China to find out which is the real purpose of United States on these issues. On one side, United States did a lot of things to make China to believe that the United States try to avoid direct military conflict with the United States in this Taiwan Strait. On the other side, simultaneously, when you make some promise, for example, when Biden and Ms. Xi Jinping met in San Francisco last year, Biden said that I will not support Taiwan independence. And of course, Xi Jinping asked him, said, okay, if you agree not support this so-called Taiwan independence, you need to make your promise more clear by doing two things. The first, say that you're supporting the peaceful reunification. And the second, stop selling these arms to Taiwan. But in other side, simultaneously, the United States, just after this summit, they selling Taiwan new arms. Now, such kind of selling of the arms, you will find the sale of these arms become mainly a kind of signal sendings, just providing them some very blurred information, make them have a misunderstanding of what U.S. real policy is. That will trigger an increasement of the potentiality that we will have a directly military conflict in this strait. Frankly speaking, according to my personal opinions, if the United States really want to have a peaceful relations with China, to deal with China in a peaceful ways, the only thing you need to do is say that United States support the peaceful reunification and just halt the military standing to Taiwan island. And just in one night, the Trump said that he can solve this Ukraine and Russia conflict in 1 week. I don't believe that will happen. But in one night, if the United States saying these things and take that seriously, just in one night you can solve these problems. That will be good, not only to world, not only to China, but I think it's also very important to the development and the benefits of the United States' interest in the foreseeable futures.
Well, you know, if China was wanting to just be provocative, it could start providing military training to Mexico and sending weapons, new weapon systems to Mexico. Then at that point, the United States go, hey, wait a second, you're interfering in our area, you know. So here's the international rules-based order as I view it. We, the United States, we have the right to do whatever we want in Taiwan, and you have to live with it. Whereas you have no right to do anything around our borders because we don't want that. So, and other countries in the world look at us and go, those Americans are crazy. I mean, candidly, if I was a citizen of another country and had not been raised in the United States and I'm witnessing what we've been doing, I would think that the Americans have lost their minds because it doesn't appear to follow any sort of rational plan. I mean, just one quick example. Over the course of the last 30 years, the United States defense industry has become dependent upon China. China produces critical both minerals, rare earth minerals, metals, and some technologies that are essential in building some of the current U.S. weaponry. And so what's our response? To insult China and to actually treat China as a potential enemy, which I think if we do that, then if I'm the Chinese, I mean, if I'm you getting treated like that, I'd say, hey, you're not getting access to this stuff anymore. We're cutting you off. You're done. So, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever